And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to be taking a look at a game from Clever Mojo Games. We're going to take a look at Alien Frontiers. And you may have seen reviews for this previously, because it's been out for quite some time now. This is a game for 2 to 4 players, which is going to be a dice placement game. You're going to be rolling dice, placing them out on the board in order to take actions, trying to colonize a planet and earn victory points faster than everybody else. Now, I just put that copy away, and I have another copy here, and this is going to be somewhat of a special review. There's no milestone or anything, but I happen to have an extra copy of Alien Frontiers. And what I'm going to be doing is having a contest on Board Game Geek. All you have to do is either post to enter or something like that, and you can win this copy of Alien Frontiers. So, why don't you head on over to Board Game Geek if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're watching on BGG, sign up there. And now, why don't we just take a look at what you get inside of here, how the game plays, and what my thoughts are on it. So here you can see the board for Alien Frontiers, and I'm going to go over it all real quick so that you can get a basic idea of the layout and how the game plays. Here in the center you can see a large planet, divided into several different areas by these dotted lines. These are going to be areas of a planet that you can settle by accomplishing certain goals throughout the board, spending different resources, and placing your little colonies out onto the board. Having control of an area will give you a special ability, and the special abilities range from getting more cubes or different resources for doing something to being able to settle easier. Additionally, around the board you're going to see several different areas for placing dice outlined by these little blue boxes. And these are all going to have different combinations of dice that you need to get in order to place there in order to get some type of benefit. And at the beginning of the game, each player is going to have 3 dice, which are their ships that they have. And on each player's turn, they will roll their ships, and they will distribute them on the board in order to get various goods. So let's say, for example, I roll this. I have a 1, a 4, and a 5. Now I can place these out on the board in order to accomplish things. And all the different areas have different requirements, like I said. So over here at the Colonist Hub, you can place any dice you want, and for each die you place, you're going to be able to advance one of these colony markers 1 space. So for example, 3 dice would allow me to put 1 on and advance it twice. When I get this to the end of the area, I can pay 1 fuel and 1 ore to put this out onto the board somewhere. And putting it onto the board will help me control that area, giving me victory points, and will give me presence, which would also give me victory points. So controlling and presence are each worth 1 victory point. In addition, I would get the special ability for the area that I now control by having the most things there. So in this case, I would have the ability of Bradbury Plateau, which would let me use 1 less ore when using the Colony Constructor. The Colony Constructor is going to work by placing 3 dice that are equal to each other on this spot. So you have to have 3 dice all with the same value. So you can put those there, and you'll see when you do so you can pay 3 ore to put out a colony. That's another way to get one of these onto the board and earn victory points. The Lunar Mine over here is going to allow you to put any die on there to start with. So for example, I could put this 4 out, and that would get me 1 ore. Now, the next die that goes there has to be greater than or equal to 4 in order to get any ore. So for example, I could place my 5 there and get another ore. If the yellow player later wanted to get on there, they're going to have to place a 5 or higher. So in this case, they could place their 5 and take an ore. The next spot is going to be the Raiders Outpost, and this is a way to steal resources from other players. What you're going to need here is a run of 3 dice. For example, you would need, let's take 4, 5, 6. And this is going to allow you to steal up to 4 resources or any 1 alien technology card from a player. So 4, 5, 6 would let me do that. And the next run to be placed there would have to be greater than 4, 5, 6. So until my next turn, no one else is going to be able to play here because these dice will stay until my next turn, at which point they'll be pulled off. If I had played 2, 3, 4, then somebody else could displace my ships by playing 4, 5, 6. The Alien Artifact area is going to let you look at alien artifact cards. And there are always going to be 3 of these cards face up, and they give you special abilities in the game. By putting any 1 die down there, you can cycle the alien technology cards, getting rid of them and drawing 3 new cards to look at. If you place a total of equal to or greater than 8 in dice, so for example, a 5 and a 3, you could take one of the cards, adding it to your collection. So for example, you're going to have things like the gravity manipulator here, which is going to allow you to pay 2 resources to move 1 point from one of your dice to another die, which is going to let you reduce 1 die and make 1 die higher, which may be beneficial for getting certain combos. And there's all kinds of these cards included, all with different special abilities. The next area is the orbital market, and it's going to let you trade fuel, which are these little orange discs, into ore. And this is important because fuel is easier to get than ore. You'll see that in a moment. But essentially, you're going to roll your dice and you're going to get a pair, and you'll need to place a pair here. And the lower pair, the better, because the pair is going to indicate your conversion ratio. So if you have a pair of 6s, your conversion ratio is going to be 6 fuel for 1 ore. But a pair of 1s would let you have 1 fuel for 1 ore. The solar converter is going to be an easy place to get fuel. As I said, fuel is very easy to get. And in order to do so, you just have to place a die there. And the number of the die is going to determine how many fuel you get. So for example, a 5 or 6 will get you 3, where a 3 or 4 will get you 2, and a 1 or 2 will get you 1. The terraforming station just requires a 6 in order to be placed on. However, you must have earned extra dice in the game in order to do this, because after doing so, you're going to lose this die until you re-earn it. So you won't simply get it back at the end of your turn. In addition to placing this die there, you have to pay 1 fuel and 1 ore, and you'll get to place one of your colonies out onto the board, earning victory points and potentially getting you ability. The last spot on the board is the shipyard, which is going to allow you to use a pair in order to earn more dice. So as I said, you start with 3 dice, but you can earn more by placing pairs here and paying different resources. Your first ship will cost you 1 fuel and 1 ore, and your next one will cost you 2 and 2, your last one 3 and 3. And then you can use more dice in order to do more stuff on the board. The game is going to continue with players rolling dice, placing on the board, then having more players roll, place their stuff on the board, and then taking your dice back, rolling again, until one player manages to place all of their colonies. Which this is going to vary how many colonies you get depending on how many players there are, but you're going to place all your colonies, and at the end of the game you're going to check and see who has the most points, and this will fluctuate throughout the game, but essentially you're going to get points for 1, having presence in an area, 2, controlling an area, and 3, for special cards. There are cards in the Alien Technology deck that get you victory points, and there is a area that you can, or a card that lets you put out a positron field, which will get you 1 victory point in bonus for controlling an area. Other than that, the game is pretty straightforward. Essentially, whoever best distributes their pieces on the board, best allocates their dice, and has the most control and most presence out on the planet is going to win. So that's Alien Frontiers, a pretty simple but pretty good worker placement / dice management game. It scales pretty well from 2 to 4. At 2 and 3 players, reducing the amount of actions available, or the amount of spots for dice available, and the amount of colonies you have to place in order to keep the game manageable and tight between 2 players, or 3 players. So I like the game. I think you should probably check it out. You should definitely check out the review on Board Game Geek so that you can sign up and potentially win a copy of the game.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.